Yeah, I'm Blair Kerkhoff of the Kansas City Star and KansasCity.com, and this is Rustin Dodd. And the Big 12 Tournament Championship game is tonight, Iowa State against Baylor, which means Kansas is not in it. The defending champion lost to Iowa State 94-83 in the semifinal. And Rustin, it seemed to me, defense was the story of the game for Kansas, the lack of it.
Yeah, on Thursday night we saw Kansas, come out and shut down a pretty solid Oklahoma State team, and then one night later, I think you saw the problems that you have when Joel Embiid is out of the lineup. In the two games they beat Iowa State this year, they gave up combined 39% shooting. Tonight it was 54%. So this team has a lot of issues on the defensive end, but when you don't have that 7-foot rim protector inside, it can cause a lot of problems.
Yeah, it really can. Joel Embiid, of course, had two really good regular season games against Iowa State. They didn't seem to miss him as much in the Oklahoma State game in the quarterfinal. What was the big problem for Kansas tonight?
I think Iowa State coach Fred Hoiberg can really exploit matchups, and they ran a lot of ball screens at Kansas, and they were able to get George Niang. If they weren't switching the ball screen, he could get an open three-pointer, and if they did switch the ball screen, they could really exploit some of Kansas's guards inside. If Joel Embiid was in there, maybe he can come over from the weak side and provide some help. They didn't have that, and it caused a lot of problems for Kansas.
68% shooting for Iowa State in the second half. What's the alarm level for Kansas now that it awaits its NCAA Tournament assignment?
Yeah, Bill Self said after the game that they need Joel, but they might not have him for another week or week and a half or 2 weeks. I think it's a matter of finding a way to adjust to playing without him. They've got to limit ball. They got to limit penetration. They got to keep guards out of the lane. They've got to find a way to get comfortable without him in there. And a lot of it could depend on matchups. Iowa State, obviously one of the best offensive teams in the country. You don't want to face a team like that. But they've got some work to do over the next week.
I think Kansas is going to locked up a number 2 seed. They can't go to a number 1 with the semifinal loss. So when Sunday comes around, I think we'll see the Jayhawks at a number 2. Tonight, Iowa State against Baylor. Baylor looking for its first ever conference championship. Iowa State looking for its first since 2000. I'm Blair Kerkhoff. This is Rustin Dodd with the Kansas City Star and KansasCity.com.